Hi, this is Mr. Wartsky again, and today we are talking about fungus. This is a second screencast and hopefully a series of two. This is the last slide that we had for screencast number one, and I told you that why do fungus have sex? When the going gets tough, the tough have sex. Remember, sex provides variation, and with variation, evolutionarily speaking, that is good because that allows you some fungus to survive tough environments. So let's go on to basidiomycetes. This division includes mushrooms, toadstools, and shelf fungus. Now, basidiomycetes, really interesting. There is no asexual life cycle. This is the only fungus that has that. They produce spores through sexual reproduction only. So that should say a haploid spore, not pore, haploid spore, lands and germinates to produce haploid hyphae. Different mating types will produce hormones that attract the other mating types. This should sound really familiar because it is. The hyphae fuse, forming dikaryon cells, so you have plasmogamy with delayed karyogamy. Here's some examples of basidiomycetes. The hyphae will divide, cell cycle to grow and form a basidiocarp, which is made up of all these hyphae glued together. That's a mycelium. Under the basidiocarp, you will see gills. Remember those things, gills? Gills are made up of basidia. Those are cells. And those basidia will produce basidiospores. And how do they produce basidiospores? Well, by meiosis, because the fusion of the haploid nuclei, that's karyogamy, immediate meiosis form 4 haploid spores, and the spores are released by the gills. Just like this diagram here, we have different mating types. They touch, they now go through mitosis and cytokinesis. They form all these hyphae here to produce the mycelium. Underneath that we have the gills of the basidia. We have these two haploid nuclei. They fuse, undergo meiosis. They form haploid spores, and bam, we start the whole process all over again. That is a life cycle of a basidiomycete. Now, Deuteromycota, fungi imperfecti. These include fungus that produce penicillin, produces cyclosporin. Remember, the penicillin is the antibiotic. Cyclosporin suppresses the immune system. Includes ringworm, athlete's foot, and thrush, which is a tongue fungus. There are about 25,000 of these types of fungi where we haven't observed sex yet. We know it happens. We just don't know how. Because we're like that. We like to watch these things. So one of the last topics, symbiosis and fungus. So how does this happen? Well, lichens is a symbiotic relationship between ascomycetes. There's some basidiomycetes, but usually ascomycetes and algae. And these lichens are found everywhere on rocks, soils, and trees. They reproduce through fragmentation. So pieces of the lichen floats away, lands, and goes to mitosis and cytokinesis. And guess what? You have more lichens. They can reproduce sexually by forming basidiocarps or ascocarps, just like we talked about before. These are great decomposers. They form soil by breaking down rock, and they're the only organisms that can do that. And here are pictures of lichen. Hope you liken that. Now, the morphology of lichen, we have algal cells here, and we have fungal hyphae up here. So it is a symbiotic, mutualistic symbiotic relationship between algae and ascomycetes. So symbiosis and fungus, two mycorrhizae, fungus and roots of plants. Now we have two types of mycorrhizae. We have endomycorrhizae, and these are made up of zygomycetes that grow into the roots and extend into the soil. Now, about 80% of the vascular plants have these relationships. The fungus can increase water and minerals, phosphorus absorption, and can provide and the plants provide glucose to the fungus. Now, it is thought, and this is really cool, that plants can help other plants through these endomycorrhizal relationships. They can actually communicate with each other. So parent plants can provide carbon and water to plants through these connections. So we have plant communications. It was once thought that plants would just compete against each other all the time, but now that we find that they can actually be altruistic and help other plants out by sharing carbon, water, phosphorus, all the minerals and all the nutrients that they need. Really kind of cool. Here are examples of endomycorrhizae, and you notice that these are not all roots, but the fungal connection on top of the roots. So that will increase the surface area to volume ratio. Ectomycorrhizae is the second type of mycorrhizal relationship, and these are ascomycetes or basidiomycetes that form a sheath around the roots. Now, they don't penetrate the roots, but they can increase water and mineral absorption, and the plant also provides glucose to these. Examples of these types of mycorrhizae, the ectomycorrhizae, are truffles. No, it's not the candy that you eat. These are the things that people cook with. They form around the roots of certain plants, and they're highly prized in cooking. For truffles, I think you get $400 a pound for truffles. And that is it. That was a really short one. Awesome. If you have any questions, please watch the video over again, read your textbook, or ask me tomorrow in class. I hope this helps. Have a good night.